Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Urban Review. This show is brought to you by the Office of National Drug Control Policy. Therefore, the thoughts and the opinions expressed on this show are not necessarily the thoughts and the opinions of the Office of National Drug Control Policy, the Substance Abuse Mental Health Services Administration, or the White House. Welcome to Urban Review, ladies and gentlemen. This is a wonderful, wonderful day. But I tell you, the last 48 hours have been tumultuous. We have been through a whirlwind of a situation. Our friends from the Substance Abuse Mental Health Services Administration on Tuesday evening around 10 o'clock p.m. sent a note or a letter to 2,000 different nonprofits across the nation informing them that their grant and their funding had been terminated. And this included the Strategic Prevention Framework Partnership for Success, as well as the Sober Truth on Preventing Underage Drinking, ACT grants, as well as other awards that impact mental health, suicide prevention, addiction services, overdose prevention, and the others. And we were impacted by this as well, the Center for Urban Youth and Family Development, because we received funding from that entity. And so it was so overwhelming and shocking to get a letter at 10 o'clock at night saying that pursuant to the terms of the award, SAMHSA may terminate a federal award to the extent authorized by law if an award no longer effectuates the program's goals of the agency. Then it goes on to say that SAMHSA's priorities are including agency resources on promoting innovative programs and interventions that address the rising rates of mental illness and substance abuse conditions, overdose and suicide, and their connections to chronic diseases, homelessness, and other challenges our nation's communities face. A key component of this effort is innovation and grant making, developing grants tailored to the states and communities that provide services and supports to effect immediate and positive health changes in the people and communities we serve, and to measure our success. As a result, SAMHSA is adjusting its discretionary award portfolio, which includes terminating some of its awards in order to better prioritize agency resources toward the above-mentioned priorities. Then it goes on to say that although in the discretion of SAMHSA, in its discretion, SAMHSA may suspend rather than immediately terminate an award to allow the recipient an opportunity to make appropriate corrective action before SAMHSA makes a termination decision after review and consideration. No corrective action is possible here since no corrective action could align the award with current agency priorities. So it told us that nothing we could do could prohibit us from being terminated and that all of our fundings were going away. Now, the impact of that decision hit 2,000 nonprofit agencies across the country. From Maine to Los Angeles, from Miami, Florida, up to Seattle, Washington. Across this entire country, over 2,000 agencies, and each of those 2,000 agencies lost a minimum of 3 employees. So that's 6,000 people that woke up yesterday morning, without a job. And it was my responsibility in our agency to call our staff, individuals that were participating in other activities I had one individual that was heading over to a school to provide training for the students there, interns that were coming in, and all of these programs, all of these activities had to be brought to an immediate halt. And if you want to experience something difficult, experience telling a person that in the middle of the week, first or second week of the year, your job is going away. But that's what we had to do yesterday. And then, after handling those issues and financial issues with the agency, we had to hop on the phone, hop on our laptops, hop on our computers, and start contacting our legislators. Gary Peters, Rashida Tlaib, Sri Tanadar, and letting them know the impact that this action is having in our own communities. Right here in Detroit, there are at least 6 agencies that were impacted, that would have to have released employees. And our legislators started communicating with each other. They started contacting Mr. Kennedy and the members of the Health and Human Services Agency. And by about 6 o'clock p.m., we got notification that the White House was going to rescind those terminations. And less than 45 minutes ago, we finally received official notification from the Substance Abuse Mental Health Services Administration that the grant terminations had been canceled. And I want to read a statement to you that came from the U.S. House of Representatives, Rosa DeLerno, that is the House Appropriations Ranking Member. And she issued the following statement: that after Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy reinstated billions of dollars in substance abuse and Mental Health Services Administration grants, that he abruptly canceled on Tuesday night. After national outrage, Secretary Kennedy has bowed to public pressure and reinstated $2 billion in Substance Abuse Mental Health Services Administration grants that save lives. These are cuts that he should have not issued in the first place. He must be cautious when making decisions that will impact America's health. Our policy must be thoughtful, not haphazard and chaotic. This episode only created uncertainty and confusion for families and healthcare providers. I hope this reversal serves as a lesson learned. Congress holds the power of the purse, and the secretary must follow the law. Though that is a quote from House Appropriations Ranking Member Ms. Rosa DeLauro. But as I said, this action impacted 2,000 organizations. 6,000 people thought they had lost their job. Hundreds of thousands of citizens that received these services were impacted. This action actually would have served as a death sentence for the vulnerable citizens that depend on these services for suicide prevention, for overdose prevention, for addiction services. And it is truly, I want to give my heartfelt thanks to all of our legislators, congressmen and women, senators that stood up and stood out for the citizens of our community, for the least of these, for the most vulnerable, so that they can continue to receive services. And in line with that, we think about the month of January, and we know that January serves as mental health, not mental health, but Oh, I'm having a meltdown here. For the threatened individuals who are, just a moment. Give me a second. In fact, why don't we go to break? And when we come back, I have my verbiage together. But it is for those individuals who are facing being human trafficked. This is Human Trafficking Month. And when we come back from our break, we'll go over the impact of human trafficking right here in Wayne County as we embark upon the auto show, and we have thousands of visitors visiting Wayne County and visiting our city. And we want to give you the 3 P's of human trafficking and the role that you can play in helping in that regard. So we'll be right back with Urban Review.
My fear is not being myself or putting others in harm whenever I'm under the influence. Did you know drivers with a BSC of .08 are 4 times more likely to get in a crash than those with a 0?
There is a reason why the legal drinking age is 21. Underage drinking is ugly because teens who start to drink before the age of 15 are 12 times more likely to be unintentionally injured.
Over 300 fatal crashes and almost 4,000 injury crashes were alcohol related.
Death is ugly, especially senseless avoidable accidents. Yet on average, every 52 minutes, an alcohol-impaired driving fatality occurs.
Fees and fines are ugly, and I want to get paid, not owing anybody money. If everyone obeyed new driving policies with a BAC of no more than .05, alcohol-impaired driving fatalities, injuries, and total costs could decrease by 71 through 77%.
Help us remind others to not be ugly with alcohol and keep alive with .05. This message was brought to you by the Center for Urban Youth and Family Development. For more information on how you can get involved, email admin@mycap.org.
You will love your Avis Ford, because at Avis Ford, we make it easy to get you your no money down monthly payment right over the phone. We call it Shop by Phone, and it's the best way we know to get you your payment options fast. You want leather and a sunroof? How about an upgrade to all-wheel drive? Just give us a call. Shop online, shop by phone, or visit us at Telegraph at 12 Mile. Call 1-800-SHOP-FORD.
Hey, I know you've seen them. Those sleek vapes that everyone says is better than smoking. Here's the truth. They're not. Did you know that in Michigan, 14% of high school students use e-cigarettes? That's a lot of people risking their life for a quick buzz.
Nicotine doesn't just harm your body, it affects your mind too. It can make depression and anxiety worse, and even change how your brain handles stress. You deserve better than to let a tiny device control your mood and your future.
You know, I thought vaping was no big deal until it started affecting my mood and focus.
Yeah, and did you know that kids who vape are more likely to smoke cigarettes?
But there's good news. You don't have to do this alone. Whether it's through friends, family, or a support group, there's always a way out.
Your health, your future, you're worth so much more than what vaping has to offer.
Detroit's got your back. Visit CUYFDcoalition.org for tools and support to help.
Meet Danny, high school senior, 17 years of age, all A student. Danny is just now finding out he scored 1,490 out of 1,600 on his SAT. Danny's friend decided to ask, "How did you do it?" Danny replied, "I believe every day is a test. To fail or succeed, you choose." The effects of vaping is the one test that Danny chose not to study for.
Vaping does not discriminate on who becomes addicted. Over 2 million high school students use some type of electronic cigarette device. The top tobacco companies also own vaping devices. The FDA found that vaping contains some of the same toxic chemicals as regular cigarettes that lead to cancer. So whether you smoke traditional cigarettes with tobacco or smoke electronic cigarettes using nicotine, your health is at risk. There's no safe way to smoke. For more information, contact the Center for Urban Youth and Family Development.
The non-medical use of prescription drugs, including opioids, is a growing concern in our communities, affecting all ages, including our youth. If the medication wasn't prescribed to you or has expired, don't take it. If your name isn't on the bottle, it's not meant for you to swallow. Addiction is real, and lives are being ruined. Or worse yet, lost.
Visit preventiondetroit.org/opioids to find prescription Dropbox locations.
Welcome back to Urban Review, and we are happy to be here with you. I got a little tongue-tied before the break, but I'm back, and we know that January is National Human Trafficking Prevention Month. January is National Human Trafficking Prevention Month, and every year since 2010, the President has dedicated the month to raise awareness about human trafficking. More than 20 years ago, the Trafficking Victims Protection Act of 2000 enshrined the United States commitment to combating human trafficking, especially domestically as well as internationally. In 2010, by presidential proclamation, President Obama declared January as National Slavery and Human Trafficking Prevention Month. And every year since, each president has followed this tradition. Presidential proclamations not only raise the profile of the issue, but are also snapshots of global trends and challenges and significant U.S. anti-trafficking policy achievements. Some highlights include that in 2012, the issuance of the executive order strengthening protections against against trafficking in persons in federal contracts. In 2016, the first convening of the U.S. Advisory Council on Human Trafficking. And in 2017, the State Department launched its largest anti-trafficking program, the Program to End Modern Slavery. Human trafficking, also known as trafficking in persons, includes both forced labor and sex trafficking. It not only represents a threat to international peace and security, but also undermines the rule of law, robs millions of their dignity and freedom, enriches transnational criminals and terrorists, and threatens public safety and national security everywhere. There are estimated to be more than 27.6 million people, adults and children, subjected to human trafficking around the world, including in the United States. Traffickers often take advantage of instability caused by natural disasters, conflict, or a pandemic to exploit others. During the COVID-19 pandemic, traffickers are continuing to perpetrate the crime, finding ways to innovate and capitalize on chaos. Like the United States, many countries around the world have worked to implement the 3 Ps paradigm of preventing the crime: protecting victims, prosecuting traffickers, and through the passage and implementation of the national anti-trafficking laws today, we are also preventing the crime. Today, there are 178 parties in the UN protocol to prevent suppression and punishment in the trafficking of persons. Only 10 out of 188 countries and territories assessed in the Department of the State's 2024 Trafficking in Persons report have yet to adhere to this international standard to ensure their laws criminalize all forms of human trafficking and take concerted steps to prevent human trafficking, protect all victims, and cooperate internationally to combat this global crime. There is a list of resources about human trafficking. You can go to your internet and find these. Just Google Understanding Human Trafficking, 20 ways you can help fight human trafficking, the U.S. government's response to combat human trafficking hotlines exist, and there is also the U.S. Advisory Council on Human Trafficking and its annual reports. I want to go back just a little bit to the 3 Ps of human trafficking. Let me see if I can get that. Yep. And they are as I indicated before, first of all, prosecution. And this involves robust law enforcement efforts to investigate, arrest, and convict traffickers using laws like the U.S. Trafficking Victims Protection Act to dismantle trafficking operations. Then there is protection. Focuses on survivors, including identifying victims, offering trauma-informed care, housing, legal aid, and helping them rebuild their lives with access to services not contingent on cooperation with prosecution. And then the third P is prevention, which aims to reduce the risk of trafficking by addressing root causes such as poverty, the lack of education, and labor exploitation through awareness campaigns, strengthening labor laws, and empowering vulnerable populations. And then there is actually a fourth P, and that's what we call partnership. And that's a complementary element that emphasizes collaboration between governments, businesses, non-government organizations, and communities to achieve progress across prosecution, protection, and prevention efforts. So we really want everyone to be aware as we here in Detroit and in Wayne County embark upon the International Auto Show, which will have thousands, tens of thousands actually, of visitors to Wayne County and to the city of Detroit. And last year they broke up a ring of human traffickers that were brought in from outside of our state to provide services against their will to the visitors for the auto show. So be aware, and as the saying goes, if you see something, say something, because that is truly important. Another thing that I want to just take a moment to mention to you is that this is the third Thursday of the month. And as always, the Coalition for Urban Youth and Family Development will be conducting its monthly meeting. And this is a chance and an opportunity for you to become involved in our efforts of trying to create a drug-free community on Detroit's west side. We work with members of the community in various sectors, from education to healthcare, to fraternal organizations, to houses of faith, to law enforcement, to government officials, to youth-serving organizations and other organizations that work in substance abuse prevention, to have our coalition creating a drug-free community on Detroit's west side. We are a part of the Community Anti-Drug Coalitions of America, and our meeting will take place at 6:00 p.m. today. That meeting will be via Zoom. And the meeting ID that you can call into and be a part of that is 790-495-5710. Once again, that's 790-495-5710. And the passcode is CUYFD. C is in center, U is in urban, Y is in youth, F is in family, and D is in development. So please, at 6:00 p.m., call in and be a part of the Coalition for Urban Youth and Family Development. Your voice is important. Your input is needed. Your volunteerism is important to us. It's important to everyone on the west side of Detroit and in Wayne County. And we ask you to call in. Once again, the call-in number for Zoom is 790-495-5710, and the passcode is CUYFD. And we want to thank you. You know that this coming Monday, January the 19th, we will be celebrating and recognizing Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and the work that he did to advance the civil rights movement, the work that he did to create the Civil Rights Act and to have it signed into legislation. And we want to make that a day of service a day of celebration. Once again, Monday, January the 19th, Martin Luther King Day, and I'm glad that I was a part of the team that helped to create that day, and that day for the rest of time going forward will be a holiday to recognize the Dr. Martin Luther King. So as we wrap up the show, we want to close out with those words that Mr. Nelson Mandela said to himself each day during his 27 years of captivity on Robben Island in South Africa. Out of the night that covers me, black as a pit from pole to pole, I thank whatever gods there be for my unconquerable soul. In the fell clutch of circumstance, I have not winced nor cried aloud, and under the bludgeoning of chance, my head is bloodied but unbowed. Beyond this place of wrath and tears looms but the horror of the shade, and yet the menace of the years finds and shall find me unafraid, for it matters not how strait the gate, how charged with punishment the scroll. I am the captain of my fate and the master of my soul. And as always, when you're up against some trouble, meet it squarely face to face. Plant your feet, set your shoulders, lift your chin, and take a brace. And if the worst is bound to happen, in spite of all that you can do, you may fail, but you may conquer. So see it through. Black may be the clouds about you, and your future may seem grim, but don't let your nerve desert you. Keep yourself in fighting trim. And if it's veiled to try and dodge it in spite of all that you can do, remember, running from it will not save you. See it through. Even hope may seem but futile when with troubles you'll be set. But remember, you're simply facing what other men have met. So if you fail, fall still fighting, don't give up whatever you do. Keep your eyes to the front, your head high to the finish, and see it through. Remember, honor with service the life and legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. this coming Monday. And at 6 o'clock p.m. today, call in to the Coalition for Urban Youth and Family Development and be a part of creating a drug-free community on Detroit's West Side. Thank you for watching Urban Review.